We can't do this by ourselves. We have several jobs that are important. We need to get money because court cases are expensive. We've raised $60,000. Win, is that yes or no? Close? 55,000 bucks. We need $1 million. We really need $1.25 million because we're going to need publicity and printing and stuff like that. Any money that's contributed to the legal fund is 100% for the lawyers. No one, we have no paid staff. No one gets 1 cent out of that except the attorneys. If you contribute or if you cause someone else to contribute to that, all of the money goes to the attorneys, every single nickel. We have 1.2 million people in the state of Jefferson. If everybody whipped a Jefferson a $2 bill out of their pocket, we'd be done. We'd be on our way, but that's not happening. So what we need is, we need every county represented here to develop a plan to approach businesses. Lou was the one that thought this up. Go to your businesses and ask for $1,000 to be a platinum member and $500 for a gold and I don't know what for a silver, you know, whatever you want. But if every business in Jefferson gave a couple of $100, we'd have this done. If everybody gave $2 and every business gave $100, we'd not only have it done, we'd have the money to start our new state right there. This isn't a lot, folks, but it's something that everybody has to do. Does your county have a plan to collect money for the legal fund? If you don't, why not? If you don't have a plan in your county, why don't you? Because that's what we need to win. That's the job we need to do. The next thing is, we need to raise heck. Because the attorneys tell me, and I've been in many, many court trials as a bailiff and testifying and everything else, court is theater. Court is play acting. The more weight you bring to your argument with political pressure and popular support and publicity and newspaper articles and letters to the editor, the more the judge listens to you. Because another thing that Thomas Gordon said was all courts are corrupt. All courts. Why? Because the judge knows who signs his paycheck. And there's only one thing that can overcome that corruption. Now, they're not corrupt because they're corrupt men, but they know that if they fail to serve the government, that after a while, the government they serve will find a way to get rid of them. But in cases where there is so much political pressure and so much public outcry and so much just defiance, those are the cases where they will probably rule correctly because they know they would be in bigger trouble from the people who vote for them or the people who appoint them or maybe over them in the future, because remember, the Constitution doesn't guarantee a judge a job for life. It guarantees him a job during periods of good behavior. And in the state of Jefferson, good behavior is going to have a definition. The founders intended for the judicial branch to be the smaller branch and the legislative branch to be the bigger branch, because the legislators are supposed to keep an eye on the courts. Well, in California, we have 120 legislators and 3,000 judges. Law is not made in the legislature anymore. It's not. It's made in the courts. They're the only ones that are doing anything, is the court. So we need public pressure. How do we get that? Go to the website, soj51.net. Sign up to be a 51ster. Every day, folks, every single day. Make your 5 phone calls. Make 10 if you have time. If you have 2 cups of coffee, make 15. That's what my wife and I do. We have 2 cups of coffee every morning, and each one of us makes 15 calls or more, depending upon how long they take to make or whether we get it. When we get a voicemail, they're a lot quicker, because we just say, you better support the state of Jefferson or the voters are going to get rid of you by, and we hang up the phone. That's all we do on voicemail. Brian Dowley's come into his office many times and his voicemail box is full. That's what we need. That's the theater we need to supply. We need to contact Sally. She has a way to put 120 email addresses on one email. We need you to send 2-3 emails every day to all 120 of them. Every day, 7 days a week. So that their computers are broken. Because 1.2 million people are screaming, let me go. If we don't talk, the court isn't going to listen. The legislature already isn't listening. If we don't scream from the tallest building that we will not accept less than liberty, then shame on every single one of us and we're going to lose. That's what the result of that is. The next thing we need to do after raise heck, we need public pressure. We need you calling those legislators, bugging them in town hall meetings, writing them letters, going to Sacramento, you know, take a weekend, one day a month and go to Sacramento and knock on 5 doors and say, I'm from Jefferson and you better support this because it's coming, buddy. Write letters to the editor. You know, Keep It California, they write letters to the editor all the time. There's only about 10 of them. They write 10 times more letters to the editor than we do. That we need to fix, and that we can fix. Does your county have a plan to recruit phone callers and ensure that they're making their phone calls? If you don't, why not? Don't you want to win? Does your county have a plan to raise public awareness? If you don't have that plan, why not? Don't you want to win? Does your county have a program where you can help people write emails? If you don't, why not? Don't you want to win? I can't do all that from my chair. I can't. I'm just too small for that. I can't. I need help. I need help from everybody in this room. I need help from 10 times 10,000 of you in this room. We can do this. And in fact, no one now can stop us. We have 21 declarations. Keep It California doesn't like that. They say, oh, you only have really 20 that are valid, or I don't know, you know, I kind of laugh every time I hear that. Only 18 of them are real, you know, but here's what I say, who cares? You can't stop us. This isn't a state split now, this is a court case. And out of that court case, if we do all of the things I outlined, a state split could and will result. That's my dream, that's my hope. Now, what if all we got was a state senator for each county and a state assembly person, no less than one for each county? That's not a bad day, is it? I mean, can't we take that new representation and build on that? I'm not guaranteeing you we'll get a new state out of this. There is no constitutional way to split a state judicially. But what I am guaranteeing you is that no harm will come to you, and probably a lot of good can come out of this. That's what I'm saying. And relatively speaking, what I'm talking about is pretty cheap. No one can stop us from going to court. No political process can stop us from getting this case into federal court. No politician, no group of politicians, no political party, and believe me, the Republicans hate us as much as the Democrats do, because we threatened to pull the rug out from under the status quo here, where there are a few Republican districts and they got the crown pulled down tight over their head and they're securing the knowledge that they're going to get the maximum amount of terms, because you can't replace an incumbent in California, it's too expensive. So they don't want this either. No one wants you to have liberty. No one involved. I'm telling you the truth. That is just plain true. If you want liberty, you had better be prepared to take it, because that's the only way we're going to get it. And if your county does not have a plan to take your liberty back, why don't you? Liberty has a price: eternal vigilance. We caused this ourselves because we stopped paying attention. We stopped demanding accountability from the government that was supposed to serve us. And guess what they stopped doing? They stopped serving us. Because wherever there's liberty, there's a plot against it. You can bet on that. And that's true from prehistory to now. So let's open that window and let's stand up and say that we will not go quietly. Liberty is not something that we're going to argue about. We demand liberty. Liberty is our birthright. Liberty is our gift from God Almighty Himself. You can't give it away, you can't sell it. You can't diminish it. You can't allow it to be taken from you, but you can fail to exercise it. And if you fail to exercise your liberty, shame on us. Because we have one job as citizens, and I'll close with that and take your questions. We have one job and only one job, and it's also in the rule book. It's in the last paragraph of the Declaration of Independence. And that job is this: to secure liberty for our posterity. I'm not here because I'm important. I'm not. I'm just a little idiot that works for the cops and used to fly an airplane. I'm here because this is partly my fault. And I have to do something about this. I want to secure liberty for my child so that someday he can bring his wife and move back to California and not feel like he's moving into jail. Because that's what he tells me. He says, I'm not going back to California. It's like being in jail. And he's right. And it's my fault. I will spend the rest of my life trying to secure liberty for my posterity. But what I want to know is, if our forefathers were willing to give their lives and their treasure and their honor for liberty, what are you willing to do? What will you do to secure liberty for your posterity? Because that's what this is about. If we are willing to give enough, we can win. The attorneys believe it. And believe me, they're not doing it for the money. They're working for half. And they've already said, don't worry. If you don't quite raise enough money, we're not going to leave you holding the bag. We will finish this case. It's important. The Abbott lawyers want to help us. We can get amicus briefs from the Cato Institute, Hillsdale College, the Heritage Foundation. Everyone that reads what we have so far wants to help. But even Red Emerson's law firm, they want to write an amicus brief in support of this case, and they're very bright attorneys. But they're not going to do it for nothing. That's going to cost us $20,000. So let's not let a few bucks get between us and liberty. Raise money, get phone calls, get a plan. If your county doesn't have a plan, ask yourself, what are we doing wrong? Because we have got to materially, physically, directly support this effort, or we will lose. And that's just the truth.